Do you hear me? Yeah, perfect. Hi guys, I was fortunate to actually be at the workshop yesterday. And these workshops, so next time like they're around, join them, they were fascinating. And they addressed pretty much the topics you would expect. Get the questions right, and what is a good metrics to measure, how do you measure? But from time to time there was this question about like, okay, but what if all those followers are fake? Or how do I discount those fake followers? And this is something which I want to address today. So out there in the social media networks, there are fake profiles, people who don't exist. And the question is, what are they out there? What's their business model? What they are for? So I need, is this a thing to click?
Your mic's not working, Lutz.
Sorry?
Apparently your mic's not working.
My mic is not working.
Yeah, I don't know why. We'll just try.
Hello, hello, one, two.
You may need to... Oh, it's put in incorrectly. Don't know. Can you speak to that one for the
I
time?
can, well, or I take this one from London. Can you hear me? Is that better? Technic? Hello? Can you hear me? Yes, yes, you can hear me. Good. So, oh well, now I'm I hear myself as well. That's very nice. I don't hear me very often, no. But just kidding aside, so what I want to talk today is about robots or bots in social networks and what the business model is, or whether they can do astroturfing. So let's start first with a small little pop quiz. Who in this room is actually human? Hands up if you're human. Wow, there are some robots around there. I see one lady over there, she is probably a robot. No, so the majority of this room is actually human, which is good news. In the social internet, or in the networks, in the internet itself, that's not the case. 51% of traffic is caused by bots, programs, algorithms, going around and kind of like, this could be scrapers, this could be all kinds of traffic. It doesn't surprise you, therefore, if I tell you that 7% of all tweets are at least fake. That's a study which was done by Texas University about a month ago. It was done a way longer before, but it just published a month ago. 7% are fake. And you know those emails coming up to your mailbox trying to sell you services, enlargements, and other things you never wanted to have. And you're kind of saying, yeah, those 7% are probably spammers. No, those 7% are not the spammers we know. Those 7% are actually our friends. How do they become our friends? Well, 20% of us are actually letting an unknown friend request pass and accepting this. This number is higher if this is a female person. But so 20% accepting those. Why do we do this? Well, it might be curiosity. We might figure out that this is a fake profile, but we just want to know what this person is up to. It might be that we hope that we look better if we accept them. It's the same thing as Google does with link farming, you know, like what spammers do when they try to do link farming. We do this as well with our social media profiles, especially the ones who care for their cloud score. Now, the problem is, once these guys are in and actually talk to you, they are good, they have a personality, they can talk. And even if I tell you, watch out, this is a bot, 30% of you will not figure out that this is a bot. If I give you a chance, like select, is this a bot you're talking to, yes or no? 30% of you will still get it wrong after having a nice conversation with the other side. So bots are reality. Now the question is, if this is not the spam bot as such, what's their aim? Their aim is actually slightly something bigger. In 2011, the US Army asked for something which is called a persona management software, which is you have one central person operating several online identities. So the question here is, are those bots actually possible to deceive us? It's kind of like the new weapons of mass deception. Is this possible? And if we listen to the discussion we had early on about like influences and so on, like if we get this right and we churn out a lot of those bots, will they actually be able to deceive us? So let's look at the bots a little bit. First, bots are very simple. They are just spammers going social. Pretty much the same way as marketeers fell into the same trap, kind of trying to say, oh, social online, like social networks are just another channel. Spammers did the same mistake. They went online. Now, the scary thing, first of all, is it's not very difficult to build a bot. You can build a bot like you just download the source code if you kind of like want to program by yourself. MIT offers you some good bots you can set up by yourself, very simple. If you don't be as geeky and you don't want to do this, $29 will help you out and you can create bots by yourself. Good bot software around. Now, the trick is that social media networks want to be open. It should be easy to sign up because that's the business model. Like if it becomes very difficult to sign up, nobody will come. Now, if it's easy for a human being, well, guess what? It's easy for a bot as well. So once you have the software, I mean, you give it a picture, you can do the automators, yeah? Like take hot or not and always select the best looking pictures for your bots. Take females, it's better for connectivity later on. And register them. Take an RSS feed and give them a few topics. Let them talk about data or cats or whatever you like and let them post stuff which is out on the internet anyhow. So you create this bot. Once you have the bot, then there are a few ways how these spammer bots try to do this. They're pretty much yelling out. They're posting a couple of thousand messages a minute. They're very bursty. They kind of address it to you, or they're just trying to jump on a hashtag and say, measure 13, buy new watches, or whatsoever. They're trying to get hurt. Spammers. Now, these spammers obviously have a problem. We all are out here to get conversions, and we discuss how we can use social media in conversions. Well, spammers have a very, very bad conversion. 1 in 12.5 million. So to get one Viagra client, you need to reach out to whole of LA, pretty much. That's a bad conversion, I would say. Moreover, these kind of first generation bots have a second problem, which is they're hard to spell. They're easy to spot. Now, what I mean easy to spot, the way how you would spot in a huge crowd of people somebody yelling loud out, Viagra, Viagra, this is the same way. You can spot these guys very easily in social networks. How do you do this? Well, the technical background, you run machine learning programs, so you're kind of like trying to have a positive sample of who is a spammer and trying to train those. I spare you the details, but it's non-trivial, but it's possible. And what you get out there is stuff you actually would say, yeah, it somehow makes sense. It's regular or bursty behavior. So if a bot, like for example, if somebody is very active every day, including the weekend, it's most likely a bot. Or bots who kind of like tweet 1,000 times within 1 hour, it's most likely a bot. Same thing about heavy hashtag usage, it could be a bot, spam words. But one of the things which is, and all of those things you can say, hold on, I can randomize my time when my bot is talking. I can trying to use less hashtags. I can trying to disguise my URLs, which I'm using. Oh, that's true. What's very difficult to do so is friends. Who want to be friend of a guy who yells at you constantly? So bots are lonely. Now, if you see, yeah, we're all getting sad here. But bots are honestly lonely. They only have other bots' friends. And by that means, it becomes easier to actually identify them. In terms of network analytics, you kind of see how much is this group of people entrenched into the overall network. And that's the reason why bots want to become social. So more or less, we say it's easy to spot, and social networks reacted. What we see here, and it's hard to see in the back, this is February 2009. We had a lot of spam messages. People started complaining, asking whether Twitter has the right business model. Twitter acted, and a year later, reduced the spam from 10% down to 1% in terms of messages, which gets flagged by other users. So only when a user complains it's a spam message, When they don't complain because they didn't understand that they're being deceived and people are trying to sell them something without knowing, it's not a spam message anymore. So is this all good? No, obviously not, because killing bots doesn't mean that we take them away. It only means that the lifetime of a bot becomes shorter. That means their business model is changing. Like within a shorter lifetime, they can do less. There's less productivity time for a bot or less damage from whatever side you're looking at it. So the bots needs actually to change. Either they need to have higher paying clients, Viagra, or the margin they're doing in selling Viagra isn't good enough, or they need to change the conversion rate, or they need to change that they're not detected anymore. And that's what's happening. And if you're looking at today, like you see that this is still a big problem. 2011, Bootsma et al. Kind of created an army of bots and infiltrated Facebook. Only 20% got detected, 80% went under the radar. That is after Facebook announced big time that they have something which is called the Facebook immune system, which is targeted exactly at those bots. Well, 2012, last year, Twitter went in front of court and sued a few alleged spammer to kind of like put an example out there that shows you technology doesn't help alone. And this year, as I said, the 7%. Now, those bots are still dangerous, yeah. And to give you like even the first generation, the simple ones, the easy to spot ones are still dangerous. I'll give you 2 examples, and there you can see already that the business model has changed back like away from Viagra. Smear campaigns. Newt Gingrich in the US, Nadine Morano in France, it's like for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Christian Democratic Party in Germany. All of them had last year the same problem. They had fake follower scandals. Like they had a huge increase of followers, sudden increase of followers. And if you look at those Twitter followers, they're all empty shells, all created on the same day, never been active, not a photo, and just coming there and giving a spike in the number of followers. Yeah, like, please tell me, who would be that stupid? I mean, this is like, there's so much good software out there. Who would be that stupid to create so many followers? Now, these followers are not created by all those 3 people. I would claim that these followers are created by the opponents trying to create a smear campaign, trying to say, oh, these guys needed fake followers. So one way how a first generation can do harm. Now, second generation, like first generation can do also harm if you look at the Arab Spring. The company which I founded or co-founded works a lot with governments. And therefore we looked obviously like in depth into the Arab Spring world. And if you look, for example, at Syria, one way to destroy opposition is whenever somebody says something on a hashtag, you send a couple of trolls behind it and just spamming that message with other message. Some guy uses #Syria to organize a demonstration. You use #Syria with your trolls to talk about the beauty of the country. The message gets lost. And if you only use a lot of bots, I mean, that's sufficient. And who would claim that these are bots because they're talking about the beauty of that country? Very hard to figure out. And even if Twitter acts, it's mostly too late because the damage has been already done. Now, a second thing happened because we kind of, like I said, there is a trainings effect. Like we learn how to identify spam bots or bots and shoot them down. Obviously, the spammers learn as well when they're getting shut down what was the thing they did. So the new generation bots are actually way more socialized. They want to be our friends. They want to be our friends, and I put this up. It's James M. Titus is the bot who had as a task to friend 500 targets, unknown people, within 3 weeks. He ended up after 3 weeks with, I think, 170 friends he never met, he never knew. A robot, just fully structured. That's, by the way, the MIT one, where you can download the license. Well, once they are your friends, they're trying to get your trust. You all know LinkedIn. You all know people you might know. That's a nice service. When you go on LinkedIn, I can see, oh, people I might know, and I'll say like, yeah, I want to link to this person as well. Well, LaYellow is a bot in a book lover network. And this bot actually became the second most important person in this network. The first most important person was a real author, judged by the number of comments on his wall. LaYellow did one trick. He employed the same algorithm which LinkedIn is using to, well, not the same probably, but like a similar algorithm, triadic closure is the word, this kind of algorithm to understand who should be talking to whom, like who has similar interest in books. And then he suggested those people to each other. Well, you should be friends with him, you have similar interest. People loved it. How kind of this guy. So people followed him, he became famous. Nobody understood that he is in reality a bot. Took quite a long time till people understood, and then they shut him down. So now they are our friends. We started to trust them. What's the next step? Influence. Now they will try to come with arguments or give us certain things. AIAGW there is a good example. Cunningly, this guy called himself the Turing test, in equivalence to the test to check out artificial intelligence. Now, he kind of looked around on Twitter for discussions on global warming and started to have a discussion about global warming with those guys. He's tried to influence. So, bots are reality, and we kind of detect them, but whenever we detect them, we train as well the spammer as such. Bots are reality. Governments are big time involved in this whole game. It's not a game about spam anymore. Now the question is, how much damage can they do? So let's look at, can bots create mass movements? Can they deceive us? Now, what is needed for a mass movement? This is three things. It's reach. As you can see, it's ease of action and its intention. I explained those. Reach is clear. I mean, pretty much 80% of this discussion about measurements can be summed up under the umbrella of reach, what we're having here today. So we know that social media is a nice channel which can go contagious. I hate the word viral because it's not really viral. Contagious and reach a lot of people. Now, that's cool. Now, and what social media monitoring tools would do is they would count the number of people in here, and they would count how many reds and yellows and blues are in here. This is all great. But what if we have bots in there which are skewing, which are operated by quite a few, just a few, which are skewing the message, and we don't know? Then we would go out as social media analytics tool and saying, oh, look at this. This is really looking good or looking bad, or something should be done there. But in reality, it's not true. This is bot, and we didn't know. Obviously, if you do this, and my slide is a little bit skewed, it's then called astroturfing. Astroturfing is a term. Astroturf is actually a product term from artificial grassroot, used at the Boston Globe and other stadiums around the world. And since you say grassroots movements, astroturf is used for fake grassroots movements. Now let's look further for the ease of action. Ease of action, the social internet or like social networks, that's all about ease of action. Like earlier times you had to be asked, you had to write something or you had to go on the street to demonstrate. Today, like if you're against Soper or Piper, it's just one click of the mouse which helps you to support a course. So ease of action has become easier. Now we have reach and we have ease of action. Can we do a mass movement with this one? There are a lot of cases which shows that this is not really possible. You need the third one, which is intention. Now, intention, that's the stuff which we have discussed a lot of times. Intention is, can you be influenced? Can we create somebody who is influential? Now, intention, there is, since 1955, the word of opinion leader appeared in science, which was the idea of there is one person who influences quite a lot. And since we have, anecdotal evidence tells us the way we choose our school, how we select our doctor, where we shop, this is influenced by our friends. So there seems to be a good idea that people can be influenced. And you see this this idea of influentiality came through the whole discussion over and over again, ended up in the brilliantly written book from Gladwell about the few who kind of deceive us. There's one guy. If Luke says something, everybody follows. Yeah? Is this true? Well, it's not true. And my stand is, forget the hunt for the one influential person. It will not make you happy, or actually it makes you happy because it tells you that the humankind isn't as stupid to just follow one person. Well, I'm saying this as a German, and there is probably a historical dimension to it, but just realizing. But no, but like, let's assume that in general, also this one German wasn't alone. We are not like Lemminge following just stupidly one person. So when you're like actually in, and now you kind of say, no, hold on. This can't be true. I know cases where the social network wasn't equal, and I put up 2 cases here. As Whitney Houston died, one person found her. He tweeted, like the auntie of this person found it. He tweeted about it, and nobody cared. Only as AP News published it, everybody cared. Or below there, this is a YouTube channel. 6 months it took for a movie about a double rainbow to get kind of a viral hit, contagious hit. Yeah? So you would say, no, these guys are influential. No, not really, because they can't repeat that stuff. It's not that Jimmy Kimmel can go now and make everybody go crazy about rainbows. It's not that somebody else can, like, further on predict the deaths of the next people. They can't repeat it. They are not influential. They had a certain reach. AP News has reach. Now, this is because reach or broadcast creates awareness, but it's not intention. To make somebody actually do something, you need to create an intention. And if you look at research, and there is 3 things you need to create intention. One thing is topic. It needs to be the right topic. If I'm trying to convince you that the earth is flat, I probably have not a good chance to do so. You need to be ready to be deceived or to get that information, and you need to hear it from multiple sources. So let's look at those 3. Topic dependence. This is a study done on Facebook and offline studies with a lot of college students. And the question was, how much are influencing students each other while they're going through 4 years of college? So you asked them about their taste, and they did it for all different kind of things, including music. I'm showing here on the music. And what you see is that some categories, like classical music, people do influence each other. At other areas, for example, independent music, it's the opposite. So it's not clear what leads, what makes a message a hit. And these studies have been done over and over again. It's not clear. It's there's no correlation. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes not. If the movie industry would have figured that out, what makes a hit, they would have changed this already. It's not. Well, so there is a strong topic dependence. And very often, if you look at it, it's actually homophilia. If I'm following Luke and I'm listening to Luke, when Luke says something, I pick it up because I like the same topics which Luke likes. Well, I do. So, if Luke wouldn't have talked about it, I would have gotten the information somewhere else. It's homophilia. It's not that he influenced me. He was just an information source, just like AP News is an information source. Now, let's look at the second part, the readiness. Let's go where people are ready to be influenced. Point of sales. Who in this room has chosen a hotel or bought a book because they liked the review they saw? Yeah, quite a lot. 20% in this case, I believe it's more. Or you kind of like it, did not relate to a negative review, which is most often the case. This is great, but if you look at it, 40% of them are fake. And it's very hard for us to figure those out. And this is all like you use technical methods to figure actually out what's fake or not. There are perfect sites where you actually can test yourself whether you would be able to figure out what is a fake one or not. 40% or actually 38% of online reviews are fake. But we trust them. We are ready to be deceived if they're coming at the right moment in time. Well, then the last one is multiple sources. And this, again, anecdotal tells you you don't run off and buy certain things because one friend told you. Now, you like to hear it from several sources. And we had this early on in a presentation as well, that, that people take their purchase decision because they heard it from several sources, that they go, like they see it online, they check it out, they read a review, they Google it, and so on and so forth, and then they take the decision. That's the same thing how we form our opinion. Multiple sources. Now, very simple for us to go all digital for the 50%, and fakes a LinkedIn account, fakes a Google account, no, about the Twitter account, fakes a Facebook account, and trying to influence you. That's fine. But we would need to get in the traditional news as well. Now, the traditional news, to actually start influencing you on the traditional news, is a little bit more harder, but it's not impossible, because journalists by themselves rely on social media for ideas generation. And not every journalist is very good at verification of what he's seeing. So this is one thing which my company does. It's kind of like you take different articles and you look at the level of engagement. How many people clicked on an article? How many people shared it? What's behind that? Now, those things can be faked easily by robots, unfortunately, which means we can easily deceive the ideation process of a journalist if he isn't careful. So now we have three things, we have those three things in terms of, we know there are bots, we know that there is a high interest to deceive us, and we know that in the social networks we can create reach, we can create intention, and its ease of action is there. Now, I can tell you now stories where it didn't work. Peace Karen 25, for example, she's a bot who tried to campaign for a right-wing political candidate during the midterm election. And she kind of like tried to deceive people, and she operated from a botnet. And those things, people found it, and it didn't work. But I will struggle to tell you a successful example, because the idea of a successful example is that it's picked up by us. Kony 2012. I'm not saying it's astroturfing, but it worked like miracle that this kind of video came up so strongly. If you look at it, what happened is that Kony 2012 had local organizations all over the country. And they kind of, as a movie came out, these guys promoted it at distributed spots. And YouTube algorithm picked it up. Hold on, there's something happening. It's distributed all over. So they promoted the video even further. And it became a hit. Whether this was planned this way, I don't know. Most likely not, because to build up such a structure takes time, and they did build up the structure because they had a very clear political opinion on this one. However, it shows you that certain things can act this way. There are people actually who claim that the Tea Party in the US is AstroTurf. I can't comment on this one, especially not when I'm German. But hold on, these guys are sitting now, they're political reality. No matter how they started, as soon as we pick it up, it becomes reality. That's a problem of astroturfing. Astroturfing does not exist in successful terms. Only unsuccessful attempts exist. Because if it was successful, it's no astroturfing anymore. No, it is a real reality. It's a grassroots movement. And that's the same thing with rumors. To spread rumors, if it's not all too much of a lie, everybody says there is a truth in every piece. Now, as an outlook, we are looking here at an arm's length race. First generation bot, second generation bot, more generations will come. Yeah? I mean, this is clear. We need to make sure that we don't train bots anymore. And there are very funny attempts already happening. OkCupid is a dating site, a very data-heavy dating site. It's like, I think they're doing an enormous good job in data crunching and data work. OkCupid. And obviously, if we said already before, readiness and interest and so on, like if you're trying to sell sex services, a dating site is your heaven. You want to be there as a spammer. So a lot of bots are in OkCupid. So OkCupid shuts them down, the bots get trained, and so on and so forth. You're on this vicious circle. OkCupid found a different way of doing so. They created their own dating bots, and they have a secondary world. And whenever there's a bot, they don't shut it down, they just move it in the secondary world. Talk about a very interesting world to live in, that would be there. A lot of people very happily chatting with each other. So these are bots. From one side, talking to bots of the other side. So we need to avoid training them. And the other one is we need verification of the truth. It's kind of a funny thing because the gatekeeper, we kind of said, is dead. The journalist will come back to verify. But we also will get more verified accounts because when we have a verified account, then we can trust that this kind of behavior seems to be normal, meaning the other unnormal behavior should be suspicious. That obviously kills a lot of our hopes about being in an anonymous network of social media. We need to make it known, otherwise we will be deceived more and more by bots. This is it. Bots, obviously, if you do measurements, have a bad impact. I mean, they destroy measurement. If they are, however, a very interesting topic. If you want to know more about how to measure, and obviously how to discount bots out of it, measure for PR, measure for marketing, and not only social media, but take in media, take in your internal data to create a useful use case for data, then a book should be published in about 3 months' time by my publisher, Orally Media. You can register for a sneak preview on the miningdata.biz. That's it. Thank you.
I said it was going to be fascinating, didn't I? So we've got a couple of minutes for questions. We're running over so much that I think we're going to take our break and then come back for our panel discussion. Does that work for my panelists? Speak now if it doesn't. So, okay, good. Any questions then before we take our break?
I only take human questions, please. Andrew, go ahead.
Just that was brilliant.
Thank you.
Just a quick question in terms of tools that may be helpful to people to spot fakes. What's your opinion of things like Status People's fake follower tool and Social Baker's copycat fake follower tool? Are they any good, any use?
Well, I mean, those fake follower tools, and it will figure out the obvious, the ones who are using a lot of hashtags, the ones who are very often using something. I personally don't think that they are super important to be used because Twitter actually, for those obvious cases, is doing a good job. Those tools will, however, figure out as well the empty shells. And Twitter doesn't care about the empty shells, or Facebook doesn't care about empty shells because, it looks good on the statistics. Hey, I have so many millions. So there is not really a need for them to shut them down. And they don't do harm. So for that case, those tools are good. Now the problem here is that we do have a lot of bots which are useful for us. The bot who is tweeting to me when my airplane is late. Or the bot, like a friend of mine, he created a bot who, whenever somebody says a famous name, the bot would tweet back to him a quote from this famous name. That's it. That's all what they do. They have a database of famous people and search the internet for famous names and then tweet back a quote. And people loved it, but it's clearly a bot. Like you would trying to shut them down, that would be sad. But like that's kind of the tricky thing in it, in the tool's usage.
Any tools you do recommend?
We
apart
use
from your own.
Well, you use our own. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second that. That was fantastic. I just wanted to know, have you seen anything in terms of, like, you talked about low authority, low number of friends, but what about bot farms, linking together, following each other? Have you seen that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even first-generation bots would link up in bot farms. And as I said, they're lonely, but lonely only they cluster with themselves. Now, the problem with the bot farm is human behavior would dictate that if I'm a person and I register, I normally go to my closest friends and first link up with them. That's fine. And most likely my closest friends have some kind of history already in the social network. They're somehow linked up. If I'm a bot, I only can first link up with other bots, because nobody would accept a friend request of somebody who does not even have a friend. Yeah? So I only can cluster with them. As soon as I do this, you can see that there is a network forming which is totally detached from the rest of the network. And those things are very, very suspicious.
So a bit like in the SEO type thing where they used to link on the same C-class and IP addresses.
Exactly. Well, no, not about like, let's assume this half of the room is all bots. You feel like bots? Yes, good. So you are a bot and you are not bots. They would first start connecting each other. The first mistake they could do is they make it very homogeneous. Well, then it's obviously everybody is linked to everybody. That doesn't work, so your bot kill them. Now, they get smarter, so they link stochastical random each other. However, this aisle in the middle, no connection. So either these guys are totally unsocial, or it's a different breed or political different party, I don't know. But it's suspicious that they are not connected. You would then start getting, I said, like 20% connect, like people would accept friends requests. Then they were trying to slowly move over. Now, you can't figure that out. As soon as they moved over, it's from the outside, it's not spottable anymore. However, Facebook and Twitter obviously can have a time history, how the network has formed, and when they started to cross the gap and suddenly became social. And then they can kill them.
Excellent. Thank you.
We have one over there.
Thanks. Sorry, it's really hidden away in the corner. You mentioned this example from Syria. I remember I worked for the European Parliament. We had a similar case post about Syria, and it was never had so many comments from Syria defending the beautiful nation of Syria. How to react to these things? What do you do in such a case if that happens to you? Are there strategies?
Well, I mean, well, you could answer them. I mean, then you discuss it with the bot. Yeah, well, it wouldn't help you. You just ignore them if you can. You can flag them to Twitter, @spam. You flag them at spam. By the way, if you want to harm somebody, that's as well a very normal way to harm people is to flag them at spam. Happened in the recent French election. Suddenly a lot of opposition leaders got registered as bots. They get shut down automatically. Obviously they get reinstated afterwards, but they got shut down first. So that's one of the common negative PR tactics you could use. So you register them at spam and hope that they're getting removed. But the damage is done already, because people who read the comments already saw the view and got the idea. Hard to do something. That's a very, very important part of you need to register, like you need to find them before something happens. The very point of rumors, if you don't catch the rumor in the making early, not really a way to get around it. There was in Germany we had a very prominent lady from one of our very prominent politicians. Won't say the name because she sued people for that. And very, very, very prominent lady. I mean, it's not Angela Merkel, but it's like similar in the status. And she, it was said that in her earlier days, she was a prostitute. There was a rumor. And how did this rumor spread? Because when you typed in her name into Google, Google would complete her name with a suggestion that she's a prostitute. She sued Google for that and didn't get right. Google is allowed to do this. But what it shows you, I mean, it's very simple to create And then we are now outside of social media. It's very simple to create bots who search for a certain thing in order to get Google to tell the story. And that's, yeah, I mean, this lady obviously, she wrote a book and saying like, it's not true. I don't know how many people believe her. Because Google said it. It is important to catch those things in the beginning, and it's very, very hard to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.